PE with Coach Smith, and I want to show you some Minute to Win activities that you can do that are holiday edition. Now, all of these activities are from Open PhysEd. I will link that below because those are activities that you can do throughout the year. And I love doing team building at the beginning of the year and in January. And so what I did was I looked at those activities and tweaked them to make them a holiday edition. So let's get started. First, I want to show you the setup, and we have a ring, a hula hoop, full of all the different items that we need for each activity. And that particular group will stay at that hula hoop with their own equipment. Now, when you are setting up, that means you're gonna have probably 15 hoops on one end line that is for each team. So you would have 15 teams. Now, they're not gonna go any farther than the middle of the court, so you could have 15 on the other side as well. I love to do that because I don't like to have kids standing in line. And so with that in my gym, with 30 teams, I can have 3 kids per team, and I'm gonna have plenty of room for everyone to be participating. If you need to do the smaller space, then you can have up to 4. I would say no more than 4, just because you're gonna start having some behaviors as they wait in line. But another option for you, instead of having all of the equipment together and each round showing the example of the activity, you could just simply do, if you have 7 Minute to Win It games, you could do 7 different stations, and each station is that Minute to Win It game. So I'll show you both ways, but let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I will tell you, I will link all of the slides here that I have and I use in my gym. I will link those below in the description. But for cookie bake, you're gonna need a paddle, which we call our spatula. You could use a tennis racket, ping pong paddle, pickleball paddle, or a lollipop paddle for you. You need a beanbag for your cookie, and then you need some sort of a cookie sheet. We just take a bunch of lids from our buckets in our equipment room, but I did notice at the Dollar Tree, they do have $1.25 cookie sheets that you could use, and you're gonna have one student that puts the cookie on the spatula, and they are going to step, okay, and underhand toss it, step and toss, and the partner is catching it with the cookie sheet. We tell them they have to have 2 hands in the cookie sheet standing inside the hula hoop. That will control kind of the cookies flying everywhere. And then from the tosser with the spatula, they give it to the next person in line. Then they come and trade places with the cookie sheet. Whoever was holding the cookie sheet goes to the end of the line. So that is the rotation, and they see how many catches they can get in that 1 minute time period. So this is cookie bake. So the next one is ring the tree, and you're only gonna use the cone and the hula hoop. Now, when you are tossing the hula hoop, I tell them 2 hands and an underhand toss like that. And they are trying to land it around the cone. We have the person, we have people waiting in line, then the tosser, and they are simply gonna toss it and try to land it around the cone. And the person that's back behind the cone, all their job is to get the ring and bring it back, the hula hoop, and bring it back to the next person in line. So that way they're out of the way, they're not gonna get hit by the hoop, and their job is to simply bring it back. After I toss, I go and stand behind the cone and wait for the next person to go. If you only have 2 people, you're simply switching from the tosser to then the retriever. So this is ring the tree. So this one is collecting the snowballs, and we use the same paddle that we use for spatula. We use snowballs here, and we put from 5 to 8 depending on our class sizes and how many snowballs we have. If you don't have these cute snowballs, we got these at TJ Maxx or Home Goods. Sometimes Amazon has them, but you could also use bean bags. And you're gonna start with 1 snowball on the paddle. They go down around the cone and back, and then they hand it to the next person who adds a second snowball. And each time they come back, you're adding a snowball. So it's good to have at least 5 snowballs or bean bags within each group. And you can do it a couple different ways as far as if the snowballs fall. If it's K through 2 and the snowball falls off, we simply tell them to pick it up and keep going. And that way they don't lose their turn. Now, if it's 3rd through 5th, if it falls off, their turn is over. They get the snowballs, take them back to the next person in line, and they have to start over at 1 snowball. So they're trying to build up to collect all 5 to 8 snowballs depending on how many are in their hoop. So this one's a fun one. It kind of slows them down a little bit, makes them work on their balance. You can also have just 1 person going at a time down and around the cone and back, and then handing it to the next person, or you can have everyone go and stay in line. So totally up to you. But this one is collecting the snowballs. So this one's called Stuff the Stocking, and this is cone catcher from Open. So you're gonna need a cone and 1 beanbag. I only use 1 beanbag. In Cone Catcher, they use 3, but I like to use 1 because I feel like it keeps them going faster and you're not chasing down beanbags. But the tosser is gonna toss underhand, okay, trying to land it in the cone. If I am the catcher, if I only have 2 people doing this, one person's gonna have the cone, the other person is the tosser. I love doing this with 3 people because I stand on one side and then my other partner is on the other side. And we can move the cone wherever it needs to go, but we both have to have 2 hands on the cone at all times. And then you would just rotate in a clockwise position. This one's a fun one called Stuff the Stocking. The next one is called Snowball Fight, and all you need is a bowling pin. You could make a cute snowman on its face and a ball. You can also use the snowballs, but I have found that the snowballs that I have are not, they don't weigh enough and they're not gonna knock the pin down. So you simply set up the pin, you can throw it overhand or underhand or roll it, and they are trying to knock down the snowman. The rotation that I use is if you are the thrower, you have someone back behind the pin and their job is only to retrieve the ball. If I knock down the pin, I get to set it back up. The ball retriever brings the ball back, and then after I set the pin up, I then become the ball retriever. If you don't knock it over, no big deal. You rotate from thrower to ball retriever to the end of the line. So this one is Snowball Fight. So the last one that we do is the Reindeer Stables. Now, I love doing this one last because the teams are on this end. You can spread out your noodle bits in the middle there. You don't have to have a lot for each team because you can just spread them out in the middle. You can use scarves if you want. If you cut off the little noodle bits and have a bunch of those, we use those for this as well. But each team is going to go to the middle, try to clean up the stables. The reindeer droppings, we tell them, shoo-wee, it's stinky, we need to clean. They're gonna use their scoopers, they cannot use their hands, and they are trying to scoop up as much as they can and bring it back to their team. Now, you can do this a couple different ways. With the older kids, we have them have a partner, and each one of them has 1 scooper, and they have to work together to get as many droppings as they can. With the little ones, that's really hard, and so with kinder through second, we just have 1 person go down, scoop it up, and bring it back. So this one's the Reindeer Stables. It's a great one to end on, and the kids really get a kick out of that, and shoo-wee, it's stinky. So that is the clean up the stables. So as I mentioned, I like to have teams on one end, teams on the other, and each round we are going in a quick pace. So what I do as a teacher, I say, okay, I'm gonna explain the game and you're gonna listen. I'm gonna give a team that's gonna be my demonstrators. We're gonna demonstrate the game quickly, and then I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds, not even that long, to get set up and get ready. And then I start my timer and we play for 1 minute. Now, if the kids touch the equipment while coach is talking, their group does not get to play that next round. So you might have to make sure that you're consistent with that. If you see students playing with the equipment and you have told them that they can't play, if they touch the equipment, then you're gonna have to call them out. You might have to say, red team, I'm so sorry, you have to miss this round, you were playing with the equipment. Now, you're probably gonna do that once or twice, and then you won't have to do it again because they won't wanna miss the activity. Now, as I mentioned, I give a quick demo, then I give them time to set up, and then we play. Then I tell them to reset, they take all the equipment back, and then I demonstrate the next game. So it's pretty quick moving. When we play kinder through second, we play for 2 minutes rather than 1 minute, because 1 minute, it was just too fast. By the time they finally figured out what they were doing, the game was over. So definitely 2 minutes, kinder through second. Now the last thing I wanted to show you is, this is the slide that when we have it as a different station, each group, say you have clean up your stables as one station, you would only need noodles for 6 teams or 8 teams, depending on how large your classes are. Then when they rotated to the next station, they might be at Stuff the Stocking. So then they would do that underhand throw to catch it in the stocking. So this is just another format that you can set it up with, but the Minute to Win It is awesome. Give that a look with Open, and hope you enjoyed this and make it a great day.